like I love you. Guess who's back? All right, so the Jays want us talking about their super serious thing. Their super, we need to respect and fear, and they're super serious. We need to take it super seriously, and at the same time, we need to talk about it in childish terms. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see how this all works. I mean, shit, for all I know, nobody's even going to show up. They interfered with my popularity because I was popular. Popular. Me? I'm so popular. I'm a winner. I'm the one you always talk about, me. I'm so popular. I'm a winner. I'm the one you always talk about, me. I'm so popular. Ooh. It's been a crazy week. They don't love you like I love you. So, I was thinking about something, and maybe I should wait because we've got two. So, by the way, if you notice that there are some certain people that are no longer here, well, if you brag about, frivolously reporting shit, of course I'm gonna get rid of you. Come on now. So I was thinking about it, and I think I found a smoking gun that is almost detrimental to the system. Hey, we got a like. One like for the 3 viewers. I'll take it. If I got one like every 3 viewers, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? But thinking about it, and thinking about the liberation footage that we've all seen, where the camps get liberated and yada yada. And I was wondering, I was thinking about it, and have you ever seen, I know we're told Stockholm Syndrome and shit like that. I get that. I know the excuses that we're given. But that doesn't make sense. 100% of the people wouldn't have Stockholm Syndrome. And if you think about it, in all of the liberation footage you've ever seen, you've never ever seen someone happy to be being freed. Notice that? Never anybody that drops to their knees. Oh, thank you. None of that shit. You never even see anybody smiling. Nobody jumping around. No children running and, yay, we're free. We're finally free. Not a single person. Don't you think that's kind of strange? Why would there not be a single happy person to be liberated, to be freed from your camp concentration? Right? I think if we really put some thought into it and sort of ask ourselves, it's just like with everything else. It just comes down to asking yourself the question of whether the shit you're told makes sense or not. Does this make sense? Does it make sense that it would work this way? There's multiple options and whatnot, but the system tells me it works this way. Does that make sense? And that's literally, as soon as you start looking at things from that perspective of whether or not it makes sense, because you're much smarter than you give yourself credit for. You're a much better truth barometer than you give yourself credit for. Like, you know when you're listening to something true. You know when you're getting bullshit. Most of the time, when somebody gets scammed or somebody has something negative happen to them, where they've trusted somebody in some way and then it falls apart, you don't, it's too good to be true, or you always say that shit. Nobody is ever totally scammed out of the blue. And if you are, usually it's because you're not paying attention. Like when I always think it's funny when elderly people get scammed doing like an investment thing. And it's like the investment promised you 4 times the return of anything else. And you were basically trying to scam the system to get your 4 times the amount, but it didn't work out. And when it doesn't work out, then I was scammed. Well, what made you think that you found the one thing that gives four times the returns everything else? And why doesn't everything do that? It's because it's all bullshit. Let's see. We were raised by a Polish Jay who was rescued from the camps. She was our nanny and mean as a snake. Yeah, again, you just have to believe it. She was our nanny for about 5 years. Yeah, boy, you sure did live a rich life there, huh? Having a nanny. Yeah, I've been live. I'm always live. Even when I'm not here, I'm live. I gave you guys the Facebook page. You should have come to the Facebook page. I was live every day from the Facebook page. Now, are you going to get the notifications that you asked for from Facebook? No. Facebook does not like to tell people when I'm live. And then when I am live, they like to make it really, really difficult for me to for people to find my page and shit. It's really funny. But I was thinking about it. Like I've had a lot to think about these last few days, and the idea that there's not a single piece of footage that shows anyone happy to be liberated from the camps of concentration is a smoking gun. Is evidence that they were just so busy trying to maintain the narrative that they're the most oppressed and sad and brutalized people in the world, that they forgot to make it realistic. They forgot to make it so that, there's gonna be people that are like, again, falling to their knees and crying and like, I'm finally free. And like, that's how that works. It's not, everybody is not gonna just be all sullen and it's that's what they tell you. But that's because, again, they're so intent on trying to prove one narrative that they forget to make it realistic. And you'll see that a lot if you actually start looking at things. You start really questioning the way it does, other than you were the Holocaust was horrible and very. No, it wasn't. No, it really wasn't. It's not narrative that you think it is. Obviously, something happened. I'm not saying nothing happened, and I'm actually supposedly the offspring of a survivor. So, for all of you that want to run your mouth with blah, 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 you can't say that. Ask yourself, why? If I'm wrong, then I should be able to talk about it, and you guys should just, blow me away with how wrong I am. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. But that's just not how it happens. That's not how this shit happens. My great-grandmother still has the numbers on her forearms from the camp. Sure, she does. Your great-grandmother's still alive? Do you know how stupid that sounds? Why would your great-grandmother still be alive?
Well, let's do the math. Because, I had grandparents lived till 97. So let's do the math. So the concentration camps broke up when? When did they disband?
45.
45.
Yeah, 45. Yeah, 45. Just before Israel was created.
Okay, so in the event that they were 20, that would make them 75 at 2000 plus another. So they would be 100 years old right now. They'd be 99. Okay, so I'm not saying that you don't have a great grandma that's 99 years old that's still alive, but it's very rare.
Yep, she's 98. Yep. You know how ignorant. Yep. Because your great grandmother is going to tell you the truth. Like it's really strange how, like again, look at these people crying. They don't come at you with like any sort of evidence or anything. They just say, "You're not smart. I don't know stuff, but you don't either." Meh.
At 98 years old, to not have dementia or Alzheimer's, especially after going through something like that where you were malnourished, your body didn't get, what it needed to develop and be on top of its game. So it's going to affect them down in the future. So this 98-year-old person has no memory issues or
It's not even just that. It's that they lie. Everyone lies. Your grandparents do not tell you the truth, especially if it's a truth that could get you in trouble. Right?
Nobody's saying that the tattoos didn't exist. We all, have seen pictures or known somebody or something that had something like that, or knew somebody personally that had one. But that doesn't mean that
The narrative we're given is true.
correct.
And that's the point. Something absolutely happened. Something was there. But the narrative that 6 million of them were killed, it's not true. There were only 3 million of them in Europe at the time. I mean, it's just stupid. And most of them escaped here. Never mind the World Census report that they control. Never mind the Red Cross numbers that they control. Never mind all the narratives that were given that don't back up the narrative we're given.
Well, and then you have, what about the Jews that were in the military fighting on behalf of the United States back then?
I don't know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Hey, schizo yeah, that's what it is. Schizo beds, all this shit. Like again, it's these same people. These are genocide supporters, right? Think about that. Like literally, there's no reason why anybody should, unless you're one of them, you shouldn't support them. They are horrible people. Horrible, horrible people.
My grandmother and dad were supposedly in a concentration camp. And not once, my dad wasn't a dinky kid at the time. So he remembered this. Not once was it like they were tortured and starved and beaten.
But that's the thing. The whole narrative of, the Jays were being killed and blah, blah, blah. That only came out after the fact. This whole narrative just isn't true. As I always say, like, let's just look at it from the most basic level. Let's just say a group that you belong. Let's say it's Christians, right? You would have to notice that all of the Christians in the area are disappearing. And you would think rumors would be spreading around like, hey, this is happening. Where are all those people going? So when the system that's making the people disappear starts saying, hey, all you Christians, we can't just identify you by look. You got to wear a badge or a little armband. Wear that so we can identify you. How many people are going to do that?
Well, supposedly if they didn't, they were killed.
But how would you, again, how would they know? If you didn't wear the armband, then how would anyone know?
Because if you had dark hair, dark guys, and they...
That's just that's not true. But no, it's not. They don't tell us it was, Hitler wanted the the superior race, but he wasn't just killing people with dark hair and dark eyes. He'd have been killed. And that's what I'm trying, like, it's these kinds of weird, like little edits to the narrative that people just don't, like, they say it without
What our teacher told us.
Without knowing. Like, it's silly. It's silly. They weren't just killing the non-blonde and blue-eyed people. But again, there were no reports of it. There were no talks of it. These were work camps. You don't build a camp that you're going to use to kill people. You're going to house people there until you kill them. So then you make it heated. You put water in it. You have electricity. They have soccer teams. They have theater groups. They have their own money. I have a camp coin from, I can't remember where I have it, but I have it somewhere. This is the truth. Like, I ask you this as a human being who is capable of empathy, who is capable of sympathy. If you were the dictator who was supposedly intent on killing all the people you could, would you spend the money, the effort to heat their barracks? Would you allow them to have soccer teams and theater groups and shit? Would you let them make their own money? Smelt their own money? Because again, you don't just make coins. Perfect little coin. You don't just make those.
They had their prison Bunsen burners.
Right. Their little Bunsen burners, I mean, it's like these are questions that everybody should be asking. Whatever side you're on, you should understand. Like it's like with the Trump supporters. The Trump supporters should be the most questioning. You say you support this guy, well, then you should have the answers. You should be definitely concerned with the fake shooting narrative. But, most of them aren't. And when it comes to the whole hollow hoax, understand that, people have been trying to prove it for years and have fallen. They can't. Every time they say, oh, there were a bunch of bodies were buried over there. They go and they look, they scan the ground, they do it, and there's no bodies. And they go, oh, well, it must have been over there. And then they go and look, and no bodies. There's simple math that goes into this. They have you convinced that you just light a body on fire and it just goes up like a matchstick. No, that's not how shit works. It takes a lot of energy to be able to turn a human into ash. A lot. So much so that the funeral homes and whatnot of today have a hard time keeping up with the demand, with the a couple of years ago, I don't remember, 2018 or something like that, there were multiple stories from all over the country of funeral homes where they find bodies stuffed in the attics and one funeral home down in Florida or wherever, where they found out a bunch of the bodies were disposed of in the swamps and shit. This is happening all the time. And when it comes to the supposed kilns, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to put it, the Germans supposedly kept impeccable records of everything for some reason. So we know we know how much energy they were using, how much they were importing, and the gases that you need to pump into the kiln to make you can't just stack 3 bodies on top of each other and it fucking, they all just turn. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. There was a J kid who went over to like Auschwitz or one of those places, and he took his he tried to show like this area is supposedly the secret shower rooms. This area is the kilns, and he's showing you how like the locations of the buildings just didn't make sense. The structures of the buildings just didn't make sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't make. It's just like anything else, right? It's like the fact that it's 2024 and people are questioning the shape of the Earth. It's 2024. If the Earth was a round ball flying through space, we'd know. There wouldn't be any questions of it. But it's like you. I guess because they've made us all so arrogant, and as Christians, you have to be arrogant. Like there's. I'd like to say there's nobody as arrogant as the Christians, but we all know there are. But the Christians, if you believe the God of the universe, that not only makes, our sun or our Earth go around our sun and all the other planets, and then because you also believe in this universe that goes far beyond your firmament, God makes all of the things happen all over the fucking universe. And yet, when you're like, dear God, it's me, Guy. Hey, what's up, buddy? Haven't asked you for much in a long time, but I really need this job. I don't know about anybody else that I'm competing with for the job. I'm sure there are people that actually need it worse than me, but I really want this job. So I know you have a plan, but I'm asking you to, if me getting the job isn't part of the plan, can you just, change the plan up a little bit? And you believe that God does it. That's arrogance on a level I can't compete with. And yet, like you think that people can't be duped. You think that we can't be lied to. You think that they couldn't have pulled off a fake Holocaust. You really think they couldn't have pulled that off? Do you really think they couldn't, they can't lie to us on a large scale and we just believe it? They did it with COVID. I mean, it's like for me personally, I really, and I bring up a lot of the same points all the time because they never get answered. But like how anybody still believes in voting, how you think voting is a good thing, is a legitimate thing, whatever. How you believe in voting after 2016 flat out showed you that your vote does not matter. Trump lost the election by 2.7 million votes. That is just so many more people. Like I don't know how you convince yourself that 2.7 million isn't a lot. But 2.7 million people, that 2.7 million more people went, I'm going to click Hillary. I'm going to click Hillary. The people clearly wanted Hillary to be the president. And yet, the swamp that Trump was going to drain, he swore he was going to drain that swamp. That same swamp puts him in anyway. And you think, like, you still believe in voting? When each president then brings on all of his competition, to be different cabinet members and whatnot, they're all given the positions that they're in for the role they played. Do you really not pay attention to that? I mean, look at the stupid comments, right? Stupid people think literally, this happens every single time. If I don't support Trump, well, then I must be a Democrat Kamala supporter. The stupidity in thinking, I fall for one side of it, so you should too. Come on, don't you fall for a side of it? Like, I don't understand the average person anymore. How do you still fall for voting after they showed you your vote doesn't matter? They showed you, they proved it to you. I'd been saying it for a long time, but they decided to prove me right. And you just like, fuck yeah, I'm going to buy that too. I like it. I want to believe what they tell me to believe. But at the same time, I mean, again, what is it, like 70-something% of the population is Christian? I mean, religious in general, it's much higher than 70, but, you know, to think that there are people that believe in their religion. I mean, just wild, right? Why would you believe in your God? You'd think, like, just like I say, it's 2024 and people, you would think if I say, why do you believe in God? People would they'd be like, oh, really? You're giving me the opportunity to tell you why I believe this? Awesome. Here, let me tell you. You'd think that would be how they would respond. Especially since they have the truth and they're right and they're righteous and all that other shit, right? And yet you ask that simple question, why do you believe in God? Why do you believe in Christian God? Why do you believe in Muslim God? Ask Muslims, ask Christians, same thing. It's always the same sort of it's like because you point out this hole in their argument, instead of people being like, oh shit, I didn't realize there's a hole here. Let me see about this. They go, hey, don't point out my hole. You're not supposed to say that. Because that's how we've been trained. I mean, look at what happens when anyone talks about Israel. Nobody ever talks about why Israel is okay, why Israel is justified, why we should all support Israel. None of that shit. Other than the biblical, those are God's children. But then that leads into other questions that people don't like. But you'll never see anybody come in and tell you engage you in that conversation. They tell you simply, you're not allowed to say that. You can't say that. You don't believe the earth is round? You can't say that. Why? People just... It's crazy. It's crazy how people are, just so willingly and easily duped. They want to be duped. They want to believe in flat out nonsense. If I say Christianity comes from Second Temple Judaism, no, people don't like that. No, that's not true. No, it is. I've said this time and time again. The C's, the Christians, are the dumbest of the bunch. I don't know how else to put it. But it's like Muslims believe Muslims are the best. Jewish people believe Jewish people are the best. Christians believe Jewish people are the best. Wait, what? The bad guys in your Bible, it's not Satan, it's them. They're the bad guys. They kill your Jesus. Okay? Your superhero, they kill him. And they look down on you in regular life. And today, every day, 2024, they think you're stupid. And yet you think that they are your Christian God's chosen people. I don't even know how to I can only lay it out that way and then be like, are you serious? You don't see where the control comes from? Maybe they put their book in the front of your book for a reason? What do you think about the Electoral College? I think it's a good concept. I don't think major cities should have more say over rural areas, but I agree it can be unfair too. IDK an alternative. That's stupid. How come if the Electoral College was like real, then how come the only times that they've had to step in to do something in modern history is with Trump and Bush Jr. both times? I mean, it's like every other election, the people are capable of deciding who's who in the rural areas and the city areas and all that stuff. That's how that works, and it's never a problem any other time. Unless we don't vote for the right person. When we don't vote for the right person, then suddenly it becomes, oh, well, we need, I know you guys picked that, but here, you're not picking the right, you didn't make the right choice. So let's just put this in for you. It's like they offer the kids, what do you want for dinner? And the kid's like, cake and ice cream. And the parents are like, nah, okay. You can have cake and ice cream for dessert, but you have to have a nice dinner. Name a Bible verse, blah, blah, blah. I don't name Bible verse. The only Bible verses I'm concerned with are Matthew 24:34. Talk about that Bible verse. Dude avoids my comments because I'm right. No, it's because you're a doofus, and I don't bother with doofuses. You got nothing to say. People have their THERE own opinions. Yep. It's just their opinions are wrong. Yep, my opinions are wrong. They don't walk around calling themselves the chosen people. The Christians don't call them the chosen. Gotcha. The Bible is just utter nonsense. Like I just, it's like, it's at this point, most of the opposition, I mean, if you're a Trump supporter, we're not cool. I don't have to explain to you what the problem is. You just choose to ignore it. If you're a Christian, you know the issue. You know what a piece of shit you actually are. But you don't, you're not going to actually address any of the things that get said. Nobody's debunking anything I'm saying. People might be saying all kinds of dumb shit in the comments that I'm not paying attention to. But nobody's actually debunking what I'm saying. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Trump supporters are all bad. Yes, you are. Every single fucking one of you. You're a piece of shit. Not only do you fall for the election ruse, but you support a racist. You support a racist, sexist, like homophobic, everything piece of shit. I guarantee the person Trump, that's a white guy. How is it every single time we know it's a white guy? Because racists support Trump. There's literally, if you ask a Trump supporter, why do you support Trump? Just same thing as, why do you believe in God? Why do you this? They just say the same stupid nonsense. The jobs. Oh, yeah, because unemployment is just terrible right now. I mean, I remember when Trump was president, unemployment was a huge topic, and it was getting talked about all the time, and, it was a big deal, and people were struggling. It's not what happened. It's not what's happening now. It's not. And it's the chimpanzee's main poo they throw is the border shit. All these white people who are like, yeah, we need to protect our borders. How dare people come in here and try to make a better life for themselves by doing jobs we don't want to do. They're the bad guys. Deadliest drug in the fucking world is sugar, obviously. But like the big bad on the block right now is fentanyl. Fentanyl doesn't come in from the south. Fentanyl comes in supposedly from China, but it comes in most of the time through the north or just through shipping, through docks and through planes and shit. Like fentanyl's everywhere, and fentanyl is the super killer. And yet, we're not talking about that. When asked what he was going to do about the fentanyl problem, Trump started talking about Biden some more. When the mediator was like, no, but Mr. Trump, what about the fentanyl problem? He was like, Biden, 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 Biden. And they were like, no, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about the fucking fentanyl problem? And he was like, Biden, 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 Biden. That was it. They literally asked him 3 times and he just... But see, it's like that's too far. We're already too far into it.
My thing is,
you support the idea of the presidency and all that. You're just a fool.
Why is it that we've got these mediators? Why don't they call that shit out?
Because they're not mediators.
We're all sitting there watching the same fucking thing. All of us are going, he didn't answer that question.
Not all of us. No. There are a large portion of the people going, yeah, Biden, yeah.
But he didn't answer the question. Why are the mediators not saying, okay, that's a great answer. However, it didn't answer the question I asked you. So here's the question. And they did do that, like it was something that he said to him, you didn't answer the question. And he still didn't answer and then they just let it go.
They just let it go.
How did they let it go?
It's the same thing as like when Andrew was being interviewed, Prince Andrew, and he says, oh no, that couldn't be me because I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat. Yeah, I didn't sweat at the time. I had experienced something that caused me a rush of adrenaline, and I'd been shot at. And after being shot at, I didn't sweat anymore. I sweat now, but for a short period, I didn't sweat. Because that's a thing. And Walters or whatever the fuck prestigious female was interviewing was like, she might have said something about like, is there something about the medical condition or something? But then she just let it go. She didn't say, are you kidding me? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's not a reasonable answer. What do you mean you don't sweat? I've never heard of that. Can you show me what you're talking about? Can you show me this condition that can come on to people after being shot at that they then don't sweat anymore? Our system is completely controlled by miserable. And unless you're willing to start looking into that part of the conversation, you're being duped. You're being fooled. If you're completely unaware of the Samson option, you're being duped. If you're completely unaware of Team Jorge, you don't know about Project Nimbus. You don't know about the Pegasus software. If you're not aware of these things, I mean, we're having different conversations. You want to talk about surface level bullshit. I'm tired of it. I understand why Trump is our president. I totally get it. It has nothing to do with the people. Other than how can the people be manipulated easier. But we had nothing to do with it. He could have lost by 70-30 and it wouldn't have mattered. They'd have put him in anyway. I told my wife a year ago that they were going to put Trump back in. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while. It's a show. It's a show to make you goyim believe that you have some sort of say, some sort of, you know, they give you your limits so that you don't actually try to reach them yourself. And if anybody's talking about shit that you don't understand or you haven't bothered to educate yourself on, what do? You attack, because that's all you can do. You know, Israel is just the worst. They are, like, it's not my opinion. When you line up the countries most guilty of war crimes, Israel and Saudi Arabia take turns. And it's funny because Israel and Saudi Arabia are the two countries we seem to want to. We were desperately trying to like prior to October 7th of 2023, that was Biden's number one goal. Got to get that normalization deal signed between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And it's shocking. You know, the average trumpet doesn't want to talk about the Abraham Accords. They don't know what the fuck it is. You've never even heard, like, you've heard the name, but you have no idea what it means. And it's disgusting because, you know, the average Trumpanzee American is like, yeah, America first. We shouldn't be helping other people. You know, that's generally the average American Trumpanzee sentiment. And yet you go, well, so you're okay though with the $18 billion plus that's been given to Israel since October of 2023? The $3.8 billion a year we give them? That actually turns into 15 billion shekels once the money transfers. Never mind the Canadians giving them 2 billion, Australia giving them 1.2, however much Germany and all those European countries are on the hook for. Israel's given so much money every year by governments all over the world. We don't do that with anybody else. We should not be involved with Ukraine either. Well, you know why we're involved with Ukraine there? The Russians. Ukraine is like Russia's Israel, especially Kiev. It's because there's tons of Jays there. Literally, that's it. That's why everybody's supposedly. Ukraine doesn't do shit. Ukraine doesn't do anything for anyone. Oh, they provide Europe with all of its. No, they don't. That's just stupid. That's just stupid shit they tell you so that they can justify it. But literally, the thing about Ukraine is it's been sketched from the beginning. How come the only footage we ever get from Ukraine is the system giving us the footage? Where are all the civilian, you know, cell phone videos and whatnot?
Well, is that one of the countries that's cut off from?
Oh, yeah, they put a block on it. Yet we're still getting video after video out of Palestine showing the genocide that's being committed against these people.
I don't get a single one. Not a single one ever comes up on my shit. Ever.
Yeah, but they exist. You could look for it, and you can. I've shown you countless videos of children burnt to a crisp, missing body parts, crying. You know, all sorts of. Those videos don't exist out of Israel. Not a single one. You can't find me a single video that shows Israelis being victimized in any other way than maybe having to stand in a longer line than they wanted. And you can't find those. Right, well, they did those horrible Hamas made that one princess wash dishes. I mean, they made those other two guys lay in a bed. I mean, come on now. It's pretty bad. You know, and the thing is, like I say, you don't see those same videos out of Ukraine anywhere. You don't see videos of Ukrainians being bombed and fighting for their lives and all that. Nah. And if you do, it's because, it's only the videos that the system wants you to see. And you could say, oh, well, that's Ukraine, that's you. Okay, well, let's look at the same here in America, right? Where are all the cell phone videos and live feed videos from the Trump shooting? Like this is one of those. If I were gonna put it up in the, like if I was gonna make a list of most important,
at that rally? Total.
tens of thousands of people were at the rally, tens of thousands. I don't know, thousands. There again, I can only go off of what I've experienced, right? And my wife watches these stupid fucking Ion shows, NCIS and all that shit. And these are reruns from the late 2000s, early 2010s most of the time.
The ones that they do that the most with is NCIS New Orleans. That's the one.
That one and NCIS and with LL Cool J one did to it.
They don't do those as much. For some reason it's the New Orleans one that they keep pumping.
Well, and what they do,
something to that.
What they do is they say that the tech that they have, this isn't like, I don't go, oh man, that's mind blowing. How do they do that? I go, yeah, that totally makes sense. That seems like something we could have been able to do for a long. That seems like something you could do manually, which would take you a little while, or you could have the computer just hone in on all the images taken on that day at that time from that area, and it's gonna populate all that for you. But what they say repeatedly is that they can take all of the social media posts, all the different cameras and videos from any event, anything. There are so many people walking around with cameras and filming things and taking pictures that they can basically reconstruct any scene in a 3D sort of model. Just taking all the different viewpoints, like you ever seen on football games or stadiums where they have those cameras like every 5 feet around something, and then they show, it's like in the Matrix when he does the jump kick and it goes all the way around him. That's because the camera setup is, there's a camera here, and they're set to take the pictures. They're set to take the pictures like every half a second or whatever, but it goes all the way around and you get that panoramic viewpoint of everything. That's the Matrix. That's from 1999 or whatever, right? 1997, some shit. So to think like, how is it that when it comes to that Trump shooting, there's literally no cell phone videos that exist. None. What? I mean, how would they even control that?
They must have gone around and corralled everybody. And
I've said for the longest time.
Cell phone footage.
I've said for the longest time. I know it looks like it's a lot of people, but they're probably majority of them are actors or are just in on it. They bring in people for whatever they need us for. And anytime they need big crowds for TV purposes, they just bring those people in.
I mean, look at all the game shows with all their fucking paid audience and shit. They've been doing that shit for years.
Dude, get on some meds. Yep, I need to get on some meds because I'm asking questions you don't and aren't smart enough to answer for. Yep, that makes me crazy. Some crazy person thinking there should be cell phone videos from the Trump shooting. What, are you crazy? It's 1974. There's no such thing as cell phones. I mean, it's 2024. People walk around with fucking 2 cell phones in their hands, in their pockets. Everybody thinks they're a YouTube star and they walk around making these videos, especially at rallies and shit like that. Not checkers, but rallies. I guess I spent 8 years on something that isn't real. I love all these top secret submarine people that love to come on here and out themselves. God, people are dumb. And it comes down to everything, man. It's the same. Like, we are dumb. I'm not saying it as this insult. I'm saying we've been made to be stupid. They have you believing in Sky Daddy. If that's not like the smoking gun proof that you're kind of dumb. You believe in a Sky Daddy with all the magic powers in the world, who has this viewpoint of children being violated by clergy members and does nothing about it. You believe that thing exists, and that thing, Blaine wants me to cut my hair. If I had shorter hair and a not as scruffy, then Blaine would like me, wouldn't you, Blaine? How do you like your dudes, Blaine? Go on, tell me how you like your dudes to look. It's fucking ridiculous. The people are so stupid. But you're right, it is comfort. Stupidity is comfort. If you could say, well, I don't know about that, and then just stop thinking about it, that's comforting. If you could say, well, everything, that's God's plan, so I don't know. That is God's plan. It's a comforting level of stupid. Why can't you all just have an open mind? Because they're bots, dude. The majority of the profiles on here talking shit are bots. So a lot of you just don't understand what Team Jorge is. Okay? So let me educate those who don't understand. So we go Team, Team, Jorge, Jorge, Israel. Now, right off the bat, if I say something is Team Jorge, what are you going to think it is? Are you instantly going to say, oh, that has to be Israeli? Would any of you say that? Does Jorge symbolize Israel to you? What does Jorge symbolize? Isn't it interesting how Jorge is that same sort of identity that you would give the South American people that you're so quick to discriminate against? So this Israeli group calls themselves Team Jorge. You think it's because that's about transparency then? Only stupid people follow without only stupid people follow without questions. Gotcha. Yep. Okay, Team Jorge, pay attention to this. This is super important. Like, this is one of those things that, like, if you're going to take anything from this video, take this. Team Jorge. Okay? Team Jorge, Wikipedia, this is the official narrative that they want you to know. You know, there's going to be stupid people. Oh, Wikipedia, blah, blah, that's not a good enough source. Right. There are plenty of news articles you can find about Team Jorge, but Wikipedia does a pretty good job of summarizing it. Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm-run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. So, just because, again, I always have to, like, nip the stupid comments in the bud right away. If they're capable of manipulating presidential elections, then infiltrating some stupid ass YouTube feed or Facebook feed or whatever it is child's play. If you can get through all of the supposed, you know, protections and cyber, roadblocks put in place to get to manipulate presidential shit, average everyday goyim stuff is nothing. So, one of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. The group was exposed in February of 2023. Go figure. It's not 2022 or any. It's what? October is October. So October is what? The 10th month? So 8 months before the false flag attack, because first of all, no Israelis died on October 7th, 2023, and no Israelis were taken hostage. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's not real. And there's plenty of evidence to support that claim. There's not a lot of evidence. There's no evidence to support the official claim that around 1,100 of them were killed and around 250 were taken hostage. There's nothing to support that. Yes, they provided a list of names. If I give you a list of names, that means they were killed, and they're all like, there's no way that could just be a random list of names. No, not even a little bit. February, not February, February 2023, after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active since at least 2015, but Tal Hanen will tell you that they've been doing their thing. The guy said that they've been doing their thing for at least 2 decades. But the only thing that this group could officially find them associated with, like on paper, was from 2015. So you can either go off of what the piece of paper says, or go off the claims of the Israeli Black Ops guy who is in the big nice building with no name on the front of it, extremely well funded, off the books organization. Gee, I wonder. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33 presidential elections worldwide, many of them in Africa, and in 27 cases with successful results. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv, carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal Hanen, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. Tal Hanen used the pseudonym Jorge when working with hacking and disinformation groups, which inspired the Team Jorge name. Right? Ask yourself this, Steele. Why would anybody be trying to get you to stop listening to what I'm saying? Right there. You're telling me that the random real person is so concerned about you that they want you to stop listening to me read official shit. Basically, they want you to be ignorant. They want you to be stupid. Who wants you to be stupid and ignorant? According to Tal Hanen, the group's leader, Team Jorge has existed for more than 2 decades and has been engaged in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. However, its first documented activity dates back to 2015. So again, they could only find evidence, documented evidence from 2015, but the guy says, oh yeah, we've been doing this for more than 2 decades. Their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate public opinion. Like, this is... What, do you think I'm making this up? This is official. Wikipedia is official. Like, don't be stupid. There are some pages that can be edited, right? This is one of those pages that can be edited by certain people. Not me. I click edit without logging in. There, I made an edit. Publish. Oh, error. Edit not published. This IP address range has been globally blocked. This does not affect your ability to read Wikipedia pages. Most people who see this message have done nothing wrong. Some kinds of blocks restrict editing from specific service providers or telecom companies in response to recent abuse or vandalism. This block expires on 16/39, January 15th, 2026. 2026. So when you think that, oh, anybody can just go edit things, not anybody. And the people that can, if they were to make an edit on this page, it would last maybe a minute or two. And then the bots, the system, would catch up to it and erase the edit. And that's just on pages like this that you can edit. The Samson option page, you can't edit that. And then every single thing that's said on here, like I say, this is just a summary. You can go look and find all the newspaper articles you want. You're not going to find mainstream media articles for some strange reason. But these guys won a prize. These guys won the journalism prize. I mean, for this investigation. It's pretty obvious that this is real. You know, this is real. These aren't opinions, dude. None of this is opinion. You're mixing your words up here. Nothing I'm saying is opinion. This is all fact. And again, ask yourself why anyone would want you to, like, get off this guy's feed. Don't listen to what this guy's saying. Stop listening. This guy's reading you Wikipedia stuff. Stop listening. All these people, they have the internet in their hands. They could be watching porn. They could be doing anything else in the world. They obviously don't have jobs. Well, don't have regular jobs. So ask yourself, why all these profiles with no subscribers, no followers? You know, it might have a profile picture because I pointed out that they usually don't have profile pictures. Ask yourself why they so badly don't want anybody listening. They're literally, how many times do you ever go on a feed and watch a video and start getting attacked because you're watching that video? Make it make sense. You know? Yep, I'm so insane that you guys watch me day after day after day and tell other people not to, while you're so busy at work, apparently. Make it make sense, guys. How many other random people do you know that are just talking about, you know, dragons run? I have a dragon in the backyard. I have a dragon, and when I go out back, he roasts the marshmallows for me, and then we go and we fly all around, and we, you know. How many people making up nonsense have a comment section full of trolls telling other people not to watch? You know, they're not going to come on here and be like, yes, we are the Israelis and we want you people to be stupid and not understand. This guy is 100% right. They're never going to say that shit. You have to read between the lines. You have to ask yourself, what is motivating all of these people? I know my motivation is to eliminate Jayism and cut off Israel and use that money to kill pedophiles and all that shit. Like I don't understand why anybody would oppose me other than piece of shit Jays. But like how many people go, oh yeah, this guy's wrong. We should keep giving money to that first world country so they can murder women and children instead of using that money to create pedo hunter programs here in the United States. How many people believe that? All these people that are coming out here desperately trying to convince people that I'm crazy, I'm smoking crack, I'm all of these things instead of debunking what I have to say. Why don't they just debunk me if I'm wrong? And even still, let's just say, I say this all the time, let's say I was smoking crack. I'm smoking crack. I beat my wife. I beat my children. I kick my dog. You know, I sell drugs. I drink all the time. All that shit. Let's just say all that shit's true. Does that take away from the fact that Israel is committing a genocide right now? I mean, does that make sense to you? It's just, this is like a common sense feed, right? It's common sense. Ask yourself these questions. If you're not smart enough or capable enough to handle this, I get it. It's a lot to deal with. But just understand what you're seeing. If I was wrong about Jayism, the Jays in Israel, they just come tell me. Why wouldn't they come tell me? Why wouldn't you come tell somebody what they're wrong about so they stop saying the things they're saying? Instead, every single thing they do like motivates me. It just proves my point. None of them are going to come in here and tell why their disgusting cult is okay. Why their vagina baths are like the way that the Jays look at women and their vaginas and shit. Oh, it's just fucking horrible. It is horrible. You guys, you can't understand until you actually look into what their beliefs and practices are and just how disgusting they think a woman's vagina is. You probably think I'm exaggerating. You'll think that you know that can't be true. The mikvah. Go look up what a mikvah is. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting, and it's a cult. You know, think about how you look at any other cult, right? If it's called a cult, you go, oh, that's a horrible thing. Cults are bad. You know, unless it's the big cults that we're told are okay, you shouldn't believe in a cult. I mean, it's just, it's fucking crazy. It really is. Like, I never, in my wildest dreams, when I first started doing this, I thought, yeah, maybe there'll be some resistance, but I mean, you know, knowing how Americans are about America first, and we don't give money to foreign countries, blah, blah. The idea of, okay, well, let's Israel's good, man. They don't need our help. They're a first world country, oppressing people left and right. The sign of a first world country is your ability to oppress other people. And they are. They're the best at it. Like they're just oppressing everyone in the region. There's something called the Greater Israel Project where they're trying to expand Israel like 100-fold. You know, if any of this stuff is wrong,
Expand it what, land-wise?
yeah, oh yeah, it's huge. Look up Greater Israel Project. You'll be amazed by how big they want it to be. But I never thought that I would have people go, like I would have this much resistance. And it's crazy because in reality, I don't get this much resistance. You know, when I talk to regular people and I say, hey, what do you think? You think we should cut off Israel, stop giving them $3.8 billion a year? 15 billion shekels every year? You think we should stop giving it? We've given Israel well over $18 billion since last October. Do you support that? 100% of the time, people say no. So then who are all these fucking clowns on my feed? If it's not bots, if it's not the Team Jorge I'm literally showing you exists. And see, this is Team Jorge is just one. They have hundreds of Israeli black ops, you know, organizations that deal with cyber espionage. This is your smoking gun. Like this is you can't deny that they they interfered with, you know, when our narrative is that somehow Russia on Trump's behalf interfered with the 2016 election. Now there's literally no proof of that. And he didn't do a very good job. He lost. And yet there's not the Team Jorge Moscow version. Team Jorge, like their whole thing is that they interfere with presidential level elections. And we have them documented to 2015. Gee, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. He lost the 2016 election by 2.7 million votes. The swamp that he was going to drain put him in anyway. See what I mean? Like, how do people not know this? How do you not know this? It's the same stupid nonsense over and over again. Again, who's here? Who here supports the killing of babies, of children? Raping all the women, taking pictures of themselves in the lot, you know, after they kill all the people in the area, the soldiers then go through and find all the women's lingerie and either put them over their clothes or hold them up in front of their clothes and take pictures. It's this thing that they're doing. They just love doing it. And you would think like how many of you watching are like, yay, that's a good thing. I'm so glad our American money pays for that. The scariest part is it's all about to get so much worse. So much worse. The reason why Israel was in the position it was in is because of Trump. Trump is the greatest friend the Israeli people in Israel have ever known, according to Netanyahu. Ask yourself, why is this? What is going on?
And animals eat it, and it stays in their gut, and they think they're full when they starve to death.
Why do people think this is? Why do people think this is all like? I mean, even something like this, the Great Garbage Patch in the ocean. There was a kid, again, back in like 2018, who invented a cleanup system, an automatic sort of like a thing that floated in the water and cleaned the garbage. And I don't know the exact numbers. But say he said it could clean 20 million pounds of trash. Well, put in practice, it only cleaned about 2 million pounds. and then it broke. Well, this was a kid who was working like he had maybe gotten a small $100,000 grant or something like that. But he was working with nothing. Are you trying to tell me if the United States government put all of its resources into cleaning up the garbage patch, fixing that machine, making that machine better, and just fixing it, you don't think we could do it? Our two largest aircraft carriers are stationed outside of Israel right now. How much money do you think those things cost to run every day?
Ridiculous.
And if those same aircraft carriers and all the men and women involved and all the technology and everything, you don't think they could use that to clean up the garbage patch in a year, maybe 2? Doesn't that seem like a much better use of American taxpayer dollars than killing women and children? I guess it's so overwhelming how, our priorities, where our priorities are. And most people, you've just been made so low-level selfish, it doesn't matter. I think high-level selfishness is the key. Is the key to the revolution, is the key to the, the utopia that we all wish we lived in. High-level selfishness, meaning someone like me, someone like you saying, I want myself, my wife, and my kids and their kids, my family, to live the healthiest, happiest, safest lives they could possibly live. And the only way that can happen is if everyone else is living the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can live. So if my motivation is to make it so everyone lives the happiest, healthiest, safest life they can live, who's going to oppose that? Who has a problem with that? I mean, it's such stupid nonsense. We should mail this guy to North Korea. Right. Because everything you know about North Korea isn't supplied by the Jays who control the narrative.
That was one of the most fascinating conversations I've had is with a friend of mine who, his wife is from North Korea. They moved to North Korea, got married.
He's Korean.
Yeah, he's Korean. I don't know if his family's from North or South, though. But she is from North. And that's where, they lived. And then he had to come back to the United States for some job offer, whatever. And his wife said, fuck that, I'm staying. It's so awesome here. For the kids, for everything. So he came back here and worked for a few years, and with his goal of being to move back to North Korea because it's so awesome. And all the shit that he told me, like, I asked him all the stupid American questions that we're told, None of it's true.
None of it.
Not any of it. There's no fucking armed guards standing at the border of North and South Korea ready to shoot. None of that exists. Not at all. It's a beautiful lifestyle that they have out there. Better than here.
It's stupid. It's all just you have been brainwashed into believing that you're American, so you're the best. Everything American is the best.
I have to. It was hard listening. Like, I so badly didn't want to believe what he was saying, but
look at all these people to let turtles out. Oh, to put turtles back in the water. Ask those people about the Palestinians. See what they say.
All lives matter. Turtles too.
Yeah.
Sorry if they did.
But it's like North Korea's like New Jersey. It's like this really small little nothing that means nothing. We're not in danger from North Korea. Every time we're gonna start hearing a lot about North Korea again because Trump's coming back in office. And one of the
don't care about us.
But one of the excuses, like anytime Trump does something stupid, there's a list of things that they pull from, and one of them is North Korea. North Korea will, oh, they're testing bombs again. They're testing missiles. I mean, look at the fact that everyone just there's this whole narrative going around right now about UFOs. UFOs are being seen everywhere. UFOs, UFOs. How stupid do you have to be? I mean, think about it. Like, if the system doesn't want us talking about it, the Black Panthers. Where's the Black Panther Party? You guys hear a lot about the Black Panther Party? Hear anything about the Black Panther Party? No. The government didn't want us doing it, so they shut it down. When the government doesn't want something, they stop us. They stop putting, they definitely don't make a whole shit ton of movies about it, TV shows and little doodads that you can buy and stickers and all that and aliens, X-Files, blah, blah. They don't do that when they want something to be secret. You know, there's not a Ancient Aliens TV show on the History Channel network because they're exposing some sort of secrets. It's all about distracting you. Sleight of hand. You know, it's all just one big distraction. And if you believe in UFOs, if before you ask what those lights in the sky are, you already are programmed to say, oh, those are alien ships. Then they can do whatever the fuck they want. They can test whatever technology they want right out in the open, and we'll be like, oh, it's a UFO. It's all just bullshit. You know, the ships, they look like saucers skipping across. That's where the flying... That's CIA bullshit. You know, it's just that simple. Why would you think it's anything else? Do you honestly think there's aliens that exist all over the universe, even though you're a Christian? Aliens exist all over the universe. They fly here and they don't announce themselves or try to help us or anything like that. They just secretly turn cows inside out and stick things up people's butts. That's all they do. That's all they've ever done. That's it.
Didn't you see Close Encounters in the Third Grade?
We've had contact. Yeah, you have? Like you and your dad or some shit? Like what?
I think they mean humanity.
But see it's like we instantly respond with programmed responses. We've had contact. Really? Are you sure? Or is that something you were told? And then you were told, but it's a secret. And nobody knows about it but your dumbass. You know, what a great... like, before we knew what drones were, UFOs were like, holy shit. How do they fly in those patterns? How do they just hover up like that? We have drones now, right? You guys know what drones do, right? Have you guys seen the amazing presentations that like the Chinese can do with drones? Have you seen?
We went to 4th of July.
Have you seen the terrifying swarm technology that they've implemented with drones now? That the drones have an adaptive hive mind, that they're not individually programming them, then they're all just programming themselves. They have drones that can fly down and deliver a shot right in your head. One shot, and then you're dead. But that's just such old nothing technology. You know, you might be stupid, I don't know, but In 1989, they finally told us that they had stealth technology. They'd had stealth technology since at least the 40s, maybe even the 30s. But they didn't tell us until 89, 50 years later.
Well, it's because they wanted to market the new car.
Like it's just so strange. It really is just so fucking strange how easily manipulated we are, and we're so arrogant that we deny it. You know, every single Christian believes in something for nothing. They have zero legitimate, real reason to believe such an outlandish, crazy story that when somebody else tells the story, but they use different characters and their book's called something else, like the Quran, same fucking stories. They go, oh, well, that's just, how dare these people believe in, how can people, blah, 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 blah. None of you are good Christians because you can't be. You go to prison. Every single female on here that claims to be a Christian and is talking to me about it isn't a very good Christian. Sorry. Because you don't like Matthew, or you don't like 1 Timothy 2:11, do you? What is 1 Timothy 2:11? Well, here, let me help you. I'd love to educate you. 1 Timothy 2:11 says, I want to get it exactly right, so I'm going to read it to you because I know what it basically says. It basically says, shut the fuck up. You have no business talking, women. But officially it says, let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. How many of you women love that? Yeah. They're back to shutting the comments down. I don't want you guys to think I'm completely ignoring the comments. You're kind of handsome. I'm too old for you, girly. I love it. Thank you, dumbass Jeremy. Dumbass Jeremy proves the point I always say to you. Either I'm in a 2-story basement, or these dumbass clowns are just desperately saying anything they can, even if it's something as easily debunked as looking out a window.
I think that's their attempt at an insult because it's supposed to be insulting to be in your mom's basement.
No, I get it, but it shows you that they will say anything other than actual, like, factual shit or debunk shit, or they will say any desperate thing possible, and it's just easy to debunk. It's easy. It's like so easy to debunk. But that's the best opposition I can come across. How is anybody going to tell me why the Samson option is okay? How does anybody justify Team Jorge? I mean, it's like, how does anyone justify that there's a genocide happening and you're just quiet about it? How does anyone justify the lack of videos from the supposed Trump shooting, the lack of videos and live feeds, and the fact that Red Shirt Joseph gave you a completely different narrative? The eyewitness that was interviewed by the news gave you a completely different narrative than the one we're given. As always, who's going to be mad at what I'm saying, guys? Who's mad at the fact that somebody is saying we need to stop killing women and children? Who is mad at the person saying, "Hey Christians, wake up. You guys call a completely different religion the bad guys in the Bible, the guys who killed your Jesus and who look down on you in everyday life. You call them your Christian God's chosen people. Wake up. What are you missing here? Why does that make sense?" You know, I mean, it's just crazy. And it's like we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. We have to start looking into this shit and start, you know, we can't just keep going and being like, "Yeah, well, everything works. Let's make all the changes we need, but keep all the same things the way they are." We're going to make a bunch of changes, but nothing has to change. It's fucking stupid, man. And you shouldn't believe anything that you're not proud to talk about. You shouldn't believe in anything that you can't have a simple conversation about without getting upset. "I believe this with all of my heart and soul. This is the foundation of my life. And if you ask me about it, I'm going to get really upset." What? I want you guys to see something too. It's really important that you guys see this. So we're going to look up Semitism definition. Okay? So you can see on the Google machine, Semitism definition, Merriam-Webster definition. Number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. Number 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Understand that. When they tell you that that's anti-Semitism, you can't say that, you can't think that, whatever. That's anti-Semitism. They're telling you that you're not allowed to oppose supremacy, their supremacy. Policy or predisposition favorable to is supremacy. Nobody should get that. Nobody should get favor over anyone else. That's fucking stupid. The only ones that should get favor over everyone else are children. But this is the shit that you haven't been, like, you've been told you can't, no anti-Semitism, no anti-Semitism, no anti-Semitism, no anti-Semitism, no anti-Semitism. And you have no idea what that shit even means. You assume it means anti-J, right? That's anti-J-ish. But instead of you ever thinking to look the word up, because they actually changed it, right? They changed the spelling of the word. How many words exist in our lexicon for 140 some years, and then they changed the spelling of it? Can you give me other examples of that? Because in 2021, they decided that the word anti-Semitism, A-N-T-I hyphen capital S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M, that it should now be changed to A-N-T-I-S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M. And the reason that they stated for doing this, for creating a bunch of work, people now have to go back and change the spelling in all the fucking documentation and legislation and all that shit. It all has to be changed. Somebody has to go through and change all that shit. What would make them change their minds? Well, they flat out said that the reason they changed the spelling was because they didn't want goyim, people like me, Well, I had already done it. They didn't want people like you looking at that word and being like, hey, that's two words. I know what anti means. So anti-Semitism opposes something called Semitism. They didn't want you to know that Semitism was something, so they changed the spelling. That's their stated reasoning. Is not wanting people to realize that anti-Semitism opposed something called Semitism. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? He has an Alex Jones poster over his bed. Yeah, because I'm telling you to watch that fucking controlled opposition clown. Right. Again, dumb Jeremy, dumb mom's basement Jeremy says another stupid thing because he can't say anything else. I'm not lying. There's no lie here. This is the truth. This is why they decided to change the spelling of a word. It's up to you to ask yourself, like, does that make sense? Does that seem reasonable? And once you actually start answering those questions, then you start figuring things out. You know, any of you could look up Semitism, right? Anybody could look it up. I mean, it's as important as the things I'm talking about. It's just as important that you look at the comments and to look at what I'm saying. Who is going to be mad at what I'm saying? What average Joe, not Jay, not Israeli, is going to be like, hey, don't you say that. That's not okay. Don't you educate people on what words mean. Don't educate the masses. No, we want the masses stupid. Who's going to think that way? Oh, no, my weed isn't good. Oh, Jeremy's really desperate, isn't he? Something I'm saying must really be hurting Jeremy's widow feelings because he is desperately trying to hurt my... Oh, my weed's no good to Jeremy. Oh, no. I better stop talking about Semitism and genocide and all these other things because Jeremy doesn't think my weed's good enough. What a fucking dumbass. Like, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate that shit. Really. It would be so much harder for me to prove to you how desperate the Jays are, how stupid they are, if they didn't constantly provide the examples. If I sat here and told you that I'm getting infiltrated and that Israel doesn't want me to talk about these things and blah, 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 and there was nobody here backing that up, well, most of you haven't seen anything like this before. So you're not going to understand what I'm saying. It really helps when you see it. People are visual. So when you're seeing it and you're going, man, it's kind of weird. At the very least, it's kind of weird. Where are all these random angry people coming from? These are all genocide supporters, right? Because you'll notice, not one of them will say something like, yeah, man, you're right. We should kill all those pedos. Yeah, man, you're right. We should stop the genocide. Yeah, man, you're right. We should stop giving money to it. Like, they're not going to say anything like that. And you have to ask yourself, like, let's say you and I don't agree on political stuff. You know, you support Trump or you support Kamala, either or. And you and I just do not get along on the political side of things. When I say, yeah, but shouldn't we kill pedos? You're going to go, yeah, absolutely. We can put down our differences here. If the goal is to kill pedos, well, that's more important than our delusional whatever. The reality is, pedos should be being killed. And yet, none of these people, especially the Jeremys, think that's a necessity. Right? Dude, you're off the rails. No one knows. You don't know what I'm talking about. See what I mean? Instead of just saying, dude, fuck you. I think we should kill pedos, but you're a piece of shit, or anything like that. Now he pretends he doesn't understand what I'm saying. Then why have you been watching for such a long time? Why do you keep coming back? Why do you make fake profiles just so you can watch my shit? Because it's just so hilarious. Yep. It's just so hilarious. You getting outed as a pedo supporter, as a genocide supporter. Boy, that's fucking funny, isn't it? Yep, I'm a nutter. Yep, that's what it is. And I think it's crazy that we should kill pedos. I would like y'all to know that when he says Jays, he's talking about the Jays, and we should all report. See, again, instead of actually addressing what I'm getting wrong, this dumb Jay thinks I shouldn't talk about it. Why would anyone think I shouldn't be talking about these things? You know, I like I say, I appreciate them. They're too stupid. I promise you, they are not the in control of the money and the power and all that. They're not that way because they're smarter than us. It's because of their blind fucking drive and their willingness to do whatever it takes. Their willingness, they're instead of you know, trying to educate someone, they just want you to stop. You shouldn't be able to. Because that's literally all they have. What can they possibly say? How can anybody sit here and try to tell me I'm wrong about this whole genocide thing? I mean, it's like, it's the same thing as the pedo stuff. Right? At any point, any of them could say anything, acknowledge that, no, we don't support pedos. We think they should be, but they don't. And like I say, the Jays are just stupid. The Jays are stupid. They say things like, the UN says, we're going to open up the books on miserable and see if it's actually an occupation, like a colonization, or it's the temporary occupation that they claim it is. And the miserables go, hey, you can't open up the books on miserable. That demonizes miserable. And it's like, well, if miserable was doing the good shit, if miserable was righteous, if miserable wasn't absolutely genocidal pieces of shit crazy people, then they would encourage you to look into them. Yeah, look at our books. Look at it. You'll see nothing but good stuff here. We've done everything by the book. We're good people. We care. We're not genocidal. No, look. But they're so stupid that they think that if they say, oh, that demonizes us, then people go, oh, well, can't do that. Can't demonize anyone. If you're doing, it's like the whole shame argument, right? You can't shame people for being too good looking. You can't shame people for being too muscular, too smart, whatever it is. If I walk up to someone and I go, you have an elephant trunk on your head and you're 22 feet tall and your arms look like, you know, kitty cats, and you fucking, I don't know, you have tank wheels instead of legs. You're going to look at me and be like, dude, are you okay? Like, okay, man, whatever, and just keep walking. But if you're overweight and I come up to you and I say, hey, it really looks like you're struggling with your weight issues, and I think I can help you. I think I can help you live a longer, happier, healthier life if you just let me help you. You probably won't even get that whole thing out without them hitting you or flying off the handle or whatever it is. Why? Because they know it's true. If being overweight was okay, then they wouldn't say anything. They would be like, yeah, whatever. You can skinny shame me all you want. It doesn't, like, I wish I had bigger muscles for sure. But I'm not going to be, oh, I'm so depressed because I'm not fat. What? Never going to happen. You can't shame someone for something that isn't true. And again, if these like, it's why you've never seen it. You've never seen, like, I've volunteered this for years now. If I'm wrong, bring me on TV and have a whole panel of super smart experts, right? And what we could do is we'll have this discussion where I can bring up all of these crazy conspiracy theories or these you know, all the shit that I'm saying that's wrong. And you or the group can then debunk everything and just make me look stupid as hell. And then from here on out, anytime somebody says anything even similar to what I'm saying, you just go, oh, no, some guy said something close to that. And they did a thing where they debunked everything he had to say. To the point where he was like, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. Sorry. Because I'll do it. If you guys debunk what I'm saying, I have no problem being wrong. That's how I got to where I am today. I used to be someone that, you can't say that about the Jays. Don't say that. I used to say that same shit. Until I realized, like, why? Why can't you say anything? I can talk about anybody. Why can't we talk about anything? Anything at all. Everything should be able to be talked about. How else do you fix things? I know when I asked my grandmother if she had ever heard of Operation Paperclip, and she went, no. I said, what? You never heard of Operation Paperclip with the Nazi scientists and whatnot? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, I get the hint. Okay, won't bring it up, won't ask. Okay. I know that her responding the way she did, instead of saying something like, oh, yeah, and let me guess, you think that, no, we don't, nothing to do with that. I know, the German scientists, I know. Yeah, no, I've heard this before, and no, we had nothing to do with that. And I'd have been like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. Instead, my grandmother pretends like she doesn't know what I'm talking about, and then I get disowned. I get kicked out of the family because I asked that question. My uncle said she was so physically ill, and he had never seen her so sick before, and I was like, what? She pretended not to know what I was even talking about. You're telling me she was sick over it? That doesn't make any sense. But it's like that narrative that's given to me, instead of just handling it and being like, hey, whatever questions you have, I'll answer those for you and we'll put it to rest. Unless that's the response, well, it's always going to foster, more questioning and whatnot. You'd be a fool not to ask more questions at that point. And that's what you see, like, look at the feed. Again, instead of actually, debunking or addressing anything I'm saying, all you keep getting is these crazy J bots trying to get you not to watch me. They're not trying to debunk anything. They're not trying to help me understand, oh, you're misconstruing this, or you're misrepresenting that, or you've got none of that. Nothing. It's all just, don't say that. Hey, Goyam, don't say those things. You're not supposed to say those things. And that's literally all you ever see when it comes to the Israel conversation. They don't deny committing genocide. They don't deny any of the stuff. They don't deny their supremacy. They don't deny, it just, and the Samson option, none of it. The only thing you'll ever hear is that you're not supposed to say it. You're not supposed to talk about it. And it's just, you know, like I say, I appreciate the comments, right? It just proves the point. Believe me, think like these are, let's just say they're real people, okay? These are real people who, instead of doing anything else in the world, watching porn, learning something, watching a movie, working, because none of them are working apparently, even though they're pretty much working. This is what they get paid to do. But their sole motivation is that for some reason they don't like the guy who thinks we shouldn't give Israel $3.8 billion, 15 billion shekels every year, 18 billion since October of last year. We shouldn't give Israel that money, and we should use that money to kill pedos. All of these people on here disagree with that? Gosh, that's fantastic. How the fuck can you think that way? Think about it, man. Think about what you're seeing. I mean, it's like, it's just, it's stupid. You know, and like I say, they're here desperately saying anything. They got crack and meds and schizo and blah, blah, all these things. So if they absolutely could debunk something I'm saying, they would. Their whole motivation is they're mad at me. If there was anything they could say, believe me, they would. But because they literally have no actual arguments or actual debunks or anything possible, they just cry. And this is, you see this everywhere. This is what Israel does. This is how you know it's Israel. This is how you know it's the Israelis. You know, your average Christian, well, they'll at least engage and try to, you know, once they get their shit kicked in a little bit, they'll run away. Same thing with Muslims. But the Jays, it's different. And you'll see that everywhere. Again, there's no... You have the Michael Rappaports. Oh, God, what I wouldn't give. Oh, my God, what I wouldn't give. Like if I'm wrong, have me in a group with Michael Rappaport, Jerry Seinfeld, and John Lovitz. 3 people who went on TV flat out saying that if you don't support the genocide, then you're not supporting Judaism and that's anti-Semitism and all that stuff. They said it. They're the ones flat out telling you. There's no separation there. You know, I always say I'm not a free Palestine guy. You know, free Palestine's the thing that's like, okay, I guess we'll let them say free Palestine. But if they say anything else, then we'll shut their shit down. But free Palestine, I guess that's okay. And if you say free Palestine, they get mad, oh mad, boy howdy. But Palestine is yesterday's news. They've basically wiped it off the map already. The next targets are Lebanon, Syria, Iran. So it's not at all free Palestine. On the surface, it's actually end miserable. But even deeper than that, it's end Jayism. Because it's the Jayism that fuels all the rest of it. The Jayism that fuels miserable. Ask yourself what I'm, you know, again, it's... do you honestly think that they're going to come out and be like, yeah, yeah, we are Israeli bots, and this is what we do, and miserable thinks this way, and blah, blah. Do you really think they're gonna do that? No. Do you really think Trump's gonna come out and be like, oh no, I just do what I'm told. I'm just a fucking, I'm a fucking figurehead. Literally, I have no power whatsoever. It's just a joke. I'm here to fool you guys. Do you think they're gonna say that? What are you waiting for? If you're waiting for some sort of official documentation, you're gonna be waiting a long time. I mean, they have you stupid and you just don't realize it. You think you're a lot smarter than you are. And you actually are a lot smarter than you think, but because of the J manipulation in everything, you know, we're where we are. It's just what it is. Think about this. Apparently, there are all these people that are mad because this guy doesn't believe in submarines. And yet, the same people have nothing to say about killing pedos. They're not mad about the genocide. They're not mad about the billions and billions of tax dollars and, you know, the slavery. That doesn't make them mad. Well, what makes them really, really mad is some random guy on YouTube not believing in submarines. Well, let me jump aboard. Hey, buddy, I am the submarines are real police, and I just go around looking for people. You're the only one that's ever said anything like this. But still, I am mad at you, buddy. Does that make sense? Or does that sound like distraction? Right? The same people who have been here for weeks, they are mad about the submarines, but couldn't care less about the children being killed. Burned. White phosphorus. They're saying that in areas where munitions have been used, I'd say bombs have been dropped, but it's something else. That people that go into those areas, the Palestinians that go into those areas, are just being evaporated. They don't even understand how they're like that's the best way we can to describe it. We don't even know. It's so unheard of. I mean, Israel's been using white phosphorus this entire time. White phosphorus is illegal. White phosphorus is like, it's like, what's that shit called? Napalm, right? It explodes this like jelly shit that if you go to wipe it off, it just smears it. And now your whole arm is covered. And it just smears. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. These cowards, they're cowards. It's not like the miserables are going in and doing it by hand. You know, fighting the people naturally or whatever. They're going through and dropping American-made bombs using American-made fighter jets on people with rocks and women and children with rocks and sticks in defense. And it's all based on a lie. That is like even if it wasn't a lie, even if October 7th was real and around 1,100 people in Israel were killed, and it was actually the miserables themselves. Because if you actually looked, so I, on November 7th, 2023, a month afterward, I went to the miserable Hamas War 2023 Wikipedia page. And I went to edit history. And I clicked edit history back, all the way to the first edit. Now, the supposed surprise attack that Miserable had no idea was going to happen, and we're totally taken off guard, blah, 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 blah. That shit happened at 6:30 a.m. local time, October 7th, 2023. Problem is, the first edit was made on the Miserable Hamas 2023 page on October 7th at 6:22 a.m. So 8 minutes before the actual attack, the page was first edited. I don't know when it was created, but the first edit was made 8 minutes beforehand. And so I only ended up reading the first 3 hours worth of edits. Now, in that first 3 hours, there were thousands of edits made. There was about 5 or 6 people that seemingly had the ability to edit the page, because you couldn't just edit that page. This was one of those locked up pages. and in order to edit it, you had to be approved by one group. You had to have a whole bunch of hours worth of edit history on Wikipedia already. Then you had to be approved by one group, you would have to be approved by a second group. If you got past the first group, then you would have to be approved by the second group. And within the first half hour, a large portion of the narrative was laid out. Things that weren't going to happen for another 24, 48 hours were all laid out in this first 3 hours. They've made it a lot harder to be able to edit things, or to go back and look at the edit history of something. But within that first half hour, they claimed that Hamas had launched, quote, 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes, which is 4 rockets per second for 20 minutes. Of course, there's no footage of it because it all happened so fast, apparently. Which again, this is all laid out in the narrative that you're given. They also claimed that they killed 1,500 Hamas within Israel almost immediately. Civilians were just running around killing people. Crazy settlers were just killing people. And so, since then, when they claim that around 1,100 people in Israel have been killed, they're not lying. They're actually telling the truth. It's actually a lot more, but when you say people in Israel, that could be anybody. You know, that's Christians, Muslims, whoever. So they do this thing where they sort of tell you the truth, but it's not the truth. It's like the whole Semitism thing, Why don't they just say it's anti-J every time? Why is there another word? Why was another word created? I mean, just from a curiosity standpoint, don't you wonder that? Like, that anti means against, right? So then you would have to ask, what does Semitism mean? And don't look up the new working definition of it, because that shit is insane. That shit is insane. I mean, it's like, why do they always call it the state of Israel? Isn't it a country? Personally, I think it's the 51st United State. that would explain a lot more. That would also explain why a few months ago, when Biden supposedly said something that Bezalel Smotrich didn't like, Bezalel Smotrich, Itmar Ben-Gvir, and Avi Moaz and Netanyahu, those are the four like coalition leaders. That's the leadership of Israel right now. Bezalel Smotrich is like one of the highest ranking worst worst people. Served time for inciting violence against Arabs. Like, he's a bad person. He said that Biden needed to shut up and mind his own business because Israel was no longer a star on the United States flag. So what does that mean?
When were we a star on the flag?
They. Yeah. You stepped on this as I was walking. When were they ever a star on our flag? It's like you don't even really understand what's being said to you. Again, if they're not Jays or Israelis, who is going to have an issue with what I'm saying right now? Why would anybody be upset by what I'm saying? But go back to that thing where they say around 1100. Well, first of all, we'll talk about something else. On October 21st, 2023, a woman named Samantha Wohl was a high-ranking J here in Detroit, in my neck of the woods. She went to a wedding on October 21st, or on October 20th. Got so fucking hammered that she drove home. And for some reason her home is like the epitome of Epstein sort of surveillance to some degree. Like, apparently her security system was armed, and her security system can sense movements in the house and just catalogs when people are moving around. But it would be hard to believe that her security system was even armed, considering she was so drunk she forgot to close her front door. All done. Never. You ever woken up and your front door was open because you forgot to close it? You were so drunk when you drove home?
No.
Right. But her security system showed that her door had never been closed. And she was sending texts, and, originally the story was that she was killed around like 1:30 a.m. But then the story changed, and it then changed to at around 4:30 a.m. or something like that. Movement was detected in her house. And then a minute later, a black guy was arrested 3/4 of a mile from her house. So within that minute,
he definitely did it.
He not only killed her, there was a clear present struggle that took place, and she was killed in a way that every single TV show I've ever seen says it was a personal way. She was stabbed a bunch of times in the face and in the neck, and there was clearly a struggle there. Not to mention, nothing was stolen from her house. The black guy, Michael Jackson Bolanos, was a thief. Bad dude. Was out that night. was out looking for cars to break into and whatnot. He was a thief. According to him, he came across her body laying out on the front porch or on the front lawn, saw the door was open, saw this dead white girl, and got the fuck out of there. Like, I want nothing to do with this. Didn't go into the thief, didn't go into her house, didn't do anything like that. Her body was then, because apparently she had been stabbed and all this stuff, and she had walked out her front door and collapsed in the front lawn, where she was found by a neighbor around 6:30 a.m. dead. Months later, well, again, I'm not really sure how the Michael Jackson Bolanos thing happened because he wasn't initially charged with it. Initially, they arrested a different guy, and that whole his entire arrest, his name, everything was for some strange reason kept out of the press. When I first heard about the story, I told my wife, that sounds like some sort of relationship thing. It sounds like her boyfriend or her husband killed her. And I bet when it comes out that that's what it was, the story will just disappear. Because initially, they were trying to attach it to the Israel Hamas thing. It was 3 weeks later, or 2 weeks later, whatever. So they were trying to say, oh, it was, they were doing their best to be like, we're not saying it's connected, but it might be connected. It might be connected. It might be connected. And again, this chick, Samantha Woll, Woll, go ahead, look it up, read along with me. She was this super high-ranking community leader, meaning if you're a high-ranking member of the cult itself and a high-ranking member of social society, chances are you probably have a relationship with the highest ranking J judges in that same area. Wouldn't you assume? I mean, from all of your experience with them, don't all go to the same sort of. So it comes out, they arrest the guy they arrested was her boyfriend. And they arrested her boyfriend after he called the police and admitted that he doesn't remember it, but he probably killed his girlfriend. He thinks he killed her. He had just taken a few hits off of his vape pen and had doubled up his psych meds earlier that day. And that was the excuse. Well, he didn't really confess. He just thought he confessed. And he was then given immunity. So he could go on the trial and be grilled. And the defense team said, well, are you known for making crazy phone calls like that when you're off your medication? No. He showed literally no emotion. He was, if I was watching the whole thing on any one of these dumbass shows, he's obviously the bad guy, guilty one. And the black guy is obviously the patsy. Now, Michael Jackson Bolanos was said to have 2 microscopic dots of her blood on his sleeve, which couldn't be seen by the naked eye, but were picked up by the whatever. Now, according to her injuries, whoever would have attacked her would have had blood all over them. They stabbed her multiple times, blood squirts out, it comes off the knife and it trails and it gets like, you don't kill somebody and not get their blood on you with a knife, stabbing them multiple times and you have no blood on you. And he didn't have any time to clean it off or anything like that. He was arrested a minute after the alarm sensed movement in the house. And he admitted that he came across the body and was like, holy shit, and then left. Her boyfriend, of course, was a J, was given full immunity, admitted to killing a woman, pretended he didn't remember doing it, and was given immunity, and they did everything they could to keep his name out of the press. It only came out like after the fact, when it was like they couldn't keep hiding it anymore. And so during like the initial, the prosecution lays out their argument, the opening arguments, and then the defense lays out their argument. During the opening arguments, the J judge kept interrupting the defense, which, happens all the time and is totally protocol. The J judge also didn't think the charges were bad enough and upped everything to the highest level. Hate crimes and all this other crap. Because anytime one of them is killed, it's immediately a hate crime. Dylan Roof can go to a black church after being online talking about I hate black people, blah, 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 Confederate flags, this, that, and the other, shoot up a whole black church, get given a ride to the police station, bought Burger King, and everybody's like, I wonder if it was a hate crime. We can't, listen, hey, hate crime is a really serious thing. You can't just throw that out all willy-nilly. Oh, this guy, yep, hate crime. Yep, hate crime. Anything that happens to us, it's a hate crime. And the thing was, the prosecution was like, look, we can't actually prove these charges. The way that prosecutions work is they only go after the shit they think they can get 100%. Like if they have any sort of this might not work, they won't go after it. And if there are a multitude of charges, they're going to pick the easiest ones to get. Especially since the sentence is the same anyway. It's once you start tacking all that shit on, it's more about presentation. So they did a whole bunch of bullshit, fake bullshit trial. They held this guy, all this shit. Tried their damnedest to put anything they could on him. And by the end of it, the only thing he got found guilty of was lying to police. Which, of course, he was given the very reasonable sentence of 18 months to 25 years. For lying to police. And, I mean, shit, if 18 months had probably already almost been up by the time that verdict, like time served. Good thing they tacked on that to 25 years. Thing is, as crazy as all of that sounds, let me just throw this one little piece of information out that seemingly gets overlooked and is the reason why I'm telling this little caveat to the there was no one killed on no miserables were killed on October 7th. They claim 1,100 were killed, but they gave you a list of names. But let me just throw this out there. Samantha Wool was found at around 6:30 a.m. October 21st, 2023. According to the newspaper, the Morning Edition, on October 22nd, Samantha Wool's funeral was attended by over 1,000 people and was beautiful, really beautiful service yesterday. I mean, it has to be, right? Because the murders was supposedly discovered October 22nd at 6:30 a.m. And within 24 hours, the newspaper is talking about the funeral and how beautiful it was. And that 1,000 people attended. Let me ask you a question there. Let me just, because I'm stupid, right? How does someone die at 6:30 a.m. or how is someone found murdered at 6:30 a.m.? And within 24 hours, there's been a funeral and they're buried. Anyone, anywhere, anyone, but let alone some basically random person here. Like, and 1,000 people attended the funeral. 1,000 people.
Quite an event to organize. Has anybody ever organized events? Because I have.
No.
Like, the biggest event I think I organized myself was for 150 people. That shit's fucking hard. That's a lot of fucking work. 1,000 people? That's a lot.
Over 1,000 people.
That's a lot.
Right. Within hours.
I mean, down to stupid shit like
How do they get
how
there?
do they get in and out?
How do they
Where
get?
do they put their coats?
How do you even call
How
the
do they go to
people?
the bathroom?
How do you make the 1,000 phone calls to tell people what time? But what about it's a murder. Don't the police have to do an investigation?
I mean, not if they catch a guy right away.
But they didn't.
They did.
And they even if they do, they still need to do the autopsy.
No.
Yeah, you need to state. They want to know exactly how many wounds. Yes, that's what the police do.
They don't do autopsies on everybody.
Yes, they do, especially some high-profile somebody like that. Yes, and they don't know who that. They don't know. At that point, they didn't know who did it. So there would be clues. It would be a crime scene. It would be
Trace DNA.
and even still, the reason why it always happens, the morgues are always backed up. The forensic investigators are always backed up, especially in a place like Detroit. Are you telling me that this person somehow dead jumped the line and their autopsy was more important than everybody else's was? What about all the other funerals that were scheduled that day? All those other funerals scheduled that day were just, put on hold? Let's just... I mean, I can't even, you can't have a funeral for somebody within hours of them dying. Especially not one that 1,000 people attend. Like, if you go, this guy was a homeless person, he died. All right, you're dead. Let's bury him. That's a funeral that was had for him. Okay.
I mean, even the people that all their arrangements are made and paid for and instructions are all, it's still a process.
It's still a process, and especially if they're murdered. If they're murdered, it's a bigger process than the normal. How does that make any sense to anyone? And so it shows you when you look at the 2018 I don't know what do we call it? The shooting at their little goofy house in Philadelphia. Remember, there were the two shootings, happened 6 months to the day apart. The first one was done by Robert Bowers Jr., a guy who just sort of appears on social media in January of 2018. And he doesn't appear on Facebook. He appears on a platform called Gob, G-O-B, which apparently is known to be a white supremacist platform. I never heard of anything like it, but apparently it's this... It rivals Facebook in its usage. And like, what? Never heard of it and it's that big? Okay.
On Gob.
So he appears on Gob angry, talking about bad J's this, bad J's that. Then he, at some point, purchases 2 pistols and posts pictures of his pistols, and he's like, you know, time's coming. I'm gonna do something stupid soon.
Who posts pictures of a gun? How dumb can you be?
Lots of people. But he posts them and talking about, I'm gonna do this soon.
Right.
And then the day of, he posts, all right, I'm going to do this now, something like that. So you would think if it's the white supremacist Facebook and it's that the agents, the system would be monitoring that platform heavily. You know, FBI shows up at people's houses all the time, apparently, for their posts. They're not monitoring the white supremacist page, looking for the people that are posting pictures of guns and talking about, okay, I'm going to go do something. You don't zero in on that guy immediately?
They're supposed to. They tell us they do.
So then he goes to, on Sunday, mind you, it's a Sunday.
Holy day, he should be at home with Jesus.
Well, he goes to the GOG on a Sunday in Philadelphia, and apparently they're having a worship that day. You know, like they always do. Because their day of worship isn't on a Saturday or anything. Nah. But he went into the GOG, and according to the first responder, it looked like the first 5 or 6 people had just laid down in a row and were all shot like that. Just almost like they were drug into place, he said.
Well, maybe that's what happened. The dude shot him and then drug him into place.
Yeah, that's what it is. And a nice, neat line.
Why not? Maybe he's OCD.
And the guy, of course, he wants to cause as much havoc as he possibly can. So, of the 13 or whatever people killed, the average age is like 75. Why wouldn't it be? If you're going to cause as much chaos as possible, you kill the oldest people possible. You know, all the people who... Well, all the people who, if they died that morning, the previous day, or the previous night of natural causes, and or maybe there was a car accident, and the only reason the number was as low as it was because the 2 brothers who were retarded, their parents had just died, so they had just become a ward of the state. They were there, and they were like, 59 and 60. So those 2 guys also got killed conveniently. Guess it's not the state's problem now. But they're the ones that drug it all the way down to like 72 or whatever it was. Right. If it wasn't for that. So if all of those, let's say it happened that there was a car crash and 4 of them were on their way home from bingo and they all died. And they also had, say, 4 or 5 people that were on a life support system that were basically comatose. But they said, hey, family, can we pull them? Because we're going to use them for this thing to make our people look better. And that's how they're taught to believe. Anything to make the whole look better. So you say, hey, we're going to pull these. They're not going to. They're 85. They're going to die anyway. Can we pull the plug and use them for this operation that we have? Of course. And then say you had 3 or 4 people that actually died of natural causes. Well, there's your 13 people. Pretty easily, actually. You might not even need the car crash. You could organize it that well. Which would explain why, if the shooting happened on a Sunday, half the people were buried Monday and the other half Tuesday. Funerals and all.
I mean, have you met many older Jewish women? They're really good at doing the sad, sappy gathering. I would imagine they could do that on Oh, Dolores. Come on
6
over.
unexpected people were murdered in a shootout yesterday, and you can organize all of those funerals the following morning? No! No, 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 no! That is not how things work, especially when there is a murder. There has to be a police investigation, especially in a mass shooting or something. There's no reconstructing, there's nothing. We just,
But they got that guy right away, right?
oh yeah, no, so he ends up getting in a police shootout where he gets shot in the leg.
Yeah, case closed.
He gets taken
Very.
from the place to the hospital. While he's being taken, he's yelling, I hate the Jays, I hate the Jays, all these things, horrible slurs. In the hospital, he's yelling all these slurs, saying, gets taken from the hospital straight to the court where he's sentenced, books thrown at him, keys thrown away, and nobody's ever going to interview him or anything ever. And that's that. He's just gone.
Yeah.
We still talk about Jack the Ripper, who supposedly killed 3 women in the 1800s or some shit. But do we want to have an interview with this guy? Hey, what the fuck were you thinking? Nope. No, not a single reporter anywhere ever wants to talk to this guy. There's not a single piece of footage that shows literally any of it. The only footage that was shown was like some news footage where they, for this one experience, they kept everybody really far away. And what you could hear in the background sounded kind of like fireworks. You know, pop, 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 pop. But no, those are gunshots. And you hear, and then every once in a while you'd see like troops go chunk, 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 walking by the, marching by the camera. Not a single piece of footage exists showing any of it. I mean, it's not real, but it shows you 6 funerals the next day, the other 6 or 7, whatever, the following day. Because their funerals trump everything. Trump all investigations, trump all common sense, trump all time and space, everything. Where are the around 1,100 funerals that took place in Israel? October 8th, October 9th? Where are they? There's footage of of supposedly like Americans that got killed or something. But there's literally no footage of any funerals. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised because there's no footage of the Samantha Wolf funeral either. You know, the one that happened within hours of her being killed. Like, these are the things I would love to, where's the Roop Raj? Where's the Devin Scott or whatever his name is? Where's the Charlie, whatever his name is? Charlie LaDuff. Where are all these reporters? What about Nora O'Donnell or O'Connell, whatever, O'Donnell? Gail King. Where are all these reporters that if I'm so misguided and I'm an American citizen who literally has what I deem to think legitimate questions that I can't get the answers to, where do I look up these answers? I do what I can to get the answers, which is go live. I go live and try to put this stuff out there and see if there's anybody that can come up with anything. And the best I get is a bunch of weird Israeli bot trolls, because that doesn't make it seem any weirder. Like, this is the shit that people are just not. There's no story here. There's no made up narrative on my part. I'm telling you what you have to believe. You have to believe these stories because you believe what you're told. I sure hope you're all vaccinated. If you're going to believe this, then you should believe that. You don't get to pick and choose. If you say, I believe the system, then you got to believe what the system says. I mean, again, if it's anything other than dumb J's in the comments, I don't know how else can I prove it to you? I'm literally talking about current events or, news events, real life characters and stories and narratives and all this shit. I'm giving you details and facts and blah, blah, blah. And these guys want to talk about submarines. Really interesting how that works, isn't it? Makes total sense. It makes total sense that normal, average, everyday Americans, good old Christians, would be like, stop talking about these things. Let's talk about something else. I could go find any other truther talking about any other Trump this or Alex Jones bullshit or Illuminati's and New World Order and all that. You can find so many people talking about the big bad Muslims, how the Muslims are gonna get you, all of it. You can find truthers talking about everything. If I'm not talking about the thing you like, you could find what it is. I don't need to talk about that. There are multiple people talking about all of the other conspiracies out there. And yet, I'm unique. I'm the one talking about something different. And you're like, no, talk about what everybody else is talking about. Talk about the acceptable conspiracies. All the other controlled opposition does. Why don't you? You could easily leave. And instead, I should change to fit your delusion. It's always interesting. Anyway, that seems like a good point. Go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's free. Put a 0 in the payment box. That's all you got to do. You could put a lot of money in there too if you wanted to. Like, that'd be okay with me. But you can just put 0 and it's free. I'm also going to put a link to one of our songs on the Facebook page, where if I'm not live here, I'm live there. So, you ever wondering why isn't he? Go check there. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for being here. Even the fucking goofy trolls. Like I say, this feed wouldn't be as strong if they weren't here. They're the ones that prove the point over and over again. They're lack of evidence is evidence against. And just all these nothing comments after comments after comments, not providing evidence to what I'm wrong about, shows you I'm not wrong. Why would they put in so much energy if I was? You think if I'm wrong and I'm just sitting here telling you fucking unicorns exist and shit, there's going to be a bunch of trolls on here mad telling me to not talk about, don't talk about that, talk about something else. Don't talk about the unicorns. You really think that's going to happen? No. So, it's all right there in front of you. Appreciate you being here. Go get your free download. See you tomorrow. Pedophiles, kill yourself.